Hey everyone, Tech OG here, representing those who are 40 and up who love their tech, and this is going to be a quick review of the GPDWin Max. As I've mentioned in my preview, I repurchased this from a seller who replaced the 512 gigabyte SSD with a Cyberant Rocket Q 2TB SSD, which reads and writes out a whole lot faster than the default 512 one, and wanted to try it out and for the first time use it in my classroom for remote teaching, and in this case for this week use it for remote teaching at home. So I tried it out, and pretty much everything I've said before in my first review of this still stands. It's a joy to work with. I mean, having a nice 8-inch screen, even though you have these thick bezels, that doesn't give you the full viewing of all 8 inches. I mean, it's probably 8 inches diagonal. It could have been more if these bezels were smaller. Even though it's small or blocked off by the bezels, it's still nice. It's still a nice screen. It does get pretty bright. It doesn't get as dark as I want it to get when I'm using it at night. Like I said, if you have a significant other and they're disturbed by the lighting of the screen, they can be disturbed a little bit. Even if this is at its lowest settings, it's still, it should be a lot darker. I mean, I would have preferred it to be a lot darker than the way that it is set up right now. But as far as brightness, it does get pretty bright, and that's what's pretty cool about this. The trackpad is a nice touch if you don't have a mouse to use, and if you don't want to use this, or you don't want to switch this to mouse mode and use the analog sticks and the analog buttons on the back, the L1, L2, R1, R2 for clicks, left clicks and right clicks. The trackpad is really cool. I mean, you can always connect a Bluetooth mouse to it as well if you don't want to just use the mouse pad or mouse mode. But as far as using it as a computer, it does work. It does pretty well. It works out pretty well. I mean, I'm not a typist, but it does feel pretty cramped, especially the number row and the function keys, and some of these keys on the side, the caps lock key. Some of these keys just makes it feel really cramped. I mean, so like I said, I'm no typist at all. I never learned how to type, but as far as the way that I do type, it does feel cramped based on, like I said, the keys. I mean, the letters are pretty well spaced. I mean, because it's for the size of it, it can't be spaced out anymore. But for what GPD did to get this form factor, I thought they've done a really good job with this. I mean, the start select buttons, I do not like them up there, and they're very small. So if you needed to pause a game, if you got a phone call or the doorbell rang, it's kind of awkward to, try to fill it out. And if you're trying to pause the game and it's at night and your room is dark, very hard to see these because they're not backlit like these keys are. So the actual keyboard is backlit, but these keys up here, not backlit at all. So you have to try to feel for the buttons and know what buttons is which. So basically, you better know your start button's on the furthest right, select button furthest left, and the menu button, which brings up a menu of stats and stuff when you're playing the game. I've hit that a number of times at night. So like I said, just know where your buttons are. Like I said, as far as using it as just a regular computer, works great. In the classroom, not so much. For this not having a camera on here, especially with these thick bezels, they could have put a camera there. It just didn't cut it for remote teaching. I did buy a separate camera for this. The camera works great. You just plug and play. I mean, I bought a very old Logitech 720p camera. I just plugged it in, recognized it right away. I was able to use it. So it did work well, as far as using it with the camera. Just having the camera on the side didn't really bother me too much. The only thing that did bother me, like I said, me being a music teacher, is trying to use this with quote-unquote pen support. Now, you can use a capacitive stylus, and I have this really cool stylus right here where it's battery operated. See that light turn on? That is cool. So it's a hard tip, battery operated. Here's the one thing I don't like. Like I said, because I'm a music teacher, I need to use sometimes canvas to draw notes or whatever, or symbols. So, like I said, this only has 10 points of touch sensitivity. So when I try to draw a quarter note, look at this. It takes me a while to just draw a circle, and the circle is not perfect at all. Line is no problem, but trying to draw a precise line, not so good. So when trying to draw a quarter note, let me zoom in so that you can really see this. So trying to draw a quarter note, as you can see, very, very difficult to do on here. And this is not cool, especially if I have to try to write out some music for my students or anything like that. It just doesn't cut it. I mean, the eraser does. Erasing is cool. Drawing is not cool. And so, just for that by itself is a deal breaker. I mean, like I said, having this computer or this little PC, having this to play my games on the go, to have something like, it's only 1.8 pounds. It's cool, but as far as using it in the classroom setting, not so cool. So I had to rely on my trusty, hands down Dell Latitude 7200 2-in-1 that has Thunderbolt connectivity. I mean, this does too. The GPDWin Max does have Thunderbolt, where I can connect it to my Thunderbolt dock that has a graphics card in there and connected to a nice monitor. So I have the Dell connected. When I connect this, when I connect my Macs, I do have two huge black bezels on the side. With the Dell, fills out the entire screen. So that's what's really cool. And I didn't do any tweaking or anything like that. It just shows up like that. Can't really do too much on the Win. I mean, I'll probably have to reduce the resolution in order to get this to fill out. But like I said, with the Dell, it just works well. And the best thing, like I said, about with the Dell, that it has 4,096 pressure sensitivity points, where if I want to draw a quarter note, and I'm going to use this walk-on pen, so I'm going to draw on here, you'll see it on the monitor. Drawing a quarter note, easy. Half notes, easy. Whole notes, and look how fast you can draw. So like I said, just being an artist, you can just draw, like I said, a Spider-Man type of thing for your students. Kids be like, oh, snap, Mr. Brown, blah, blah, blah. It's just a little sketch. Just works better on the Dell as far as pen support, because it is made for pen support. This GPDWin Max was not made for pen support, just touch sensitivity, or just 10 points of touch. But other than that, I mean, it's still fantastic. Like I said, having the game controls on board, I mean, I wish the buttons were a little bit bigger, but they still work. I do like the clickable analog sticks, and definitely a big fan of that. And I bought these risers for the bottom so that the airflow can go in and hot air go out, so that I can play for hours at a time. And playing emulators on here is a complete joy. I've been using the Yuzu emulator a whole lot because I've been playing one of my favorite games, Diablo 3, on here, and it's just been working well. And even without this being connected to a graphics dock, it still works pretty well with the, the Ice Lake? Yes, Ice Lake Intel processor. So it's a 10th generation processor. So it works pretty well. So other than that, other than the I wouldn't say a flaw, but other than this not being able to use a pen as fluently as I can on my Dell 7200, this just can't work in the classroom. It can't work for me. It can't work for work and play together. It can work for play. It can do some work, but not all work for what I have to do as a music teacher. So that's basically it. I've already sold this on eBay, so one lucky person got this for $50 less than what I paid for it. I paid $750 for it. I sold it for $700 because I didn't just want to go through the rigmarole of waiting 5 days for my auction to end, yada yada yada, and then getting someone who purchased it and then doesn't purchase it later, or doesn't send the money, or who's a scam artist. I just said I'm done. So the person paid me instantly after making the offer. So I'm gonna pack this up and send it on its way to its new owner. So I hope that person gets much more use out of it than I had. I mean, I did use it a lot, but like I said, my Dell 7200 is gonna be my daily driver until it breaks down, and then I have to get another one, or hopefully another company will make a PC similar to the Dell that does a little more, but who knows. So that's the end of the re-review. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, tell your friends about my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video.